Palmolive Soap, Colgate Dental Cream, and Palmolive Shave Cream bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. One of the truly fine friendships our Miss Brooks has made in her years of teaching English at Madison High School is the one with her landlady, Mrs. Davis. Their friendship is so close that there are times when each knows what the other is thinking without either saying a word.
No, not one word. All Mrs. Davis has to do is raise 6 fingers, and I know just how many weeks I'm behind in my room rent. And all I have to do is make a circle with my thumb and forefinger, and she knows how much chance has of getting it. However, last Thursday morning, when another week's rent was due, Mrs. Davis was at a meeting of her Ladies' Aid Club, preparatory to inaugurating their new clubhouse that evening. Taking her place at breakfast with me was one Walter Denton, who usually managed to eat as if he were 3 Walter Dentons. On Thursday, he was doing his best to live up to his reputation. You enjoying your breakfast, Walter? Just nod your head, boy. No words could possibly escape through that barrier.
Pardon me, dear teacher, but you caught me with my jaws chock full of Mrs. Davis's salubrious victuals.
I know. The trick is to catch you when they aren't. Now, if you're through, we'd better be on our way to school.
All right, but first I have something to show you.
Really? What?
Well, if you'll step to the window and pull up the blinds, I'm sure you'll get a big surprise.
What are you going to do, push me out?
Come on, Miss Brooks. You're standing right in front of the house.
All right, let's see what it is.
There. Feast your lovely orbs upon it, dear teacher. Your newest means of transportation.
Where? All I see out there is a broken-down moving van.
Isn't she a beauty? I own it. Or rather, Bone Snodgrass and I own it together. We traded our jalopies in for the moving van the day before yesterday. As soon as we saw it, we knew this would be the perfect business for the firm of Denton and Snodgrass. A firm that combines brawn and brains.
Really? Who's the third partner? Oh, you're the brains.
And to prove it, I already have our first order from Mrs. Conway, a friend of my mother's. She wants the stuff delivered tomorrow morning. Yes, out in yonder van is her entire one-room suite of furniture, complete with chandelier.
Oh, good. My one ambition has always been to ride to school hanging from a chandelier. So far, you've had me hanging from everything else.
I'm not kidding, Miss Brooks. This venture is the most important of my life. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still faced with 1 or 2 problems, one of which I feel certain you can help me with.
How?
Oh, it's very simple. It concerns where I'm going to leave my moving van overnight tonight. I thought you'd persuade Mrs. Davis to let me leave it in her driveway. Would you, Miss Brooks?
Well, I suppose...
Oh, thank you, Miss Brooks. I knew you would. Well, now that that's all settled, I guess we'd better be on our way to school. Yeah, unless you want to pick up something before we go.
Only the rest of my last sentence. However, I suppose you could leave the van in our driveway overnight, since Mrs. Davis won't be using her car till it's repaired. Now, we'd really better get going. Unfortunately, I have to see Mr. Conklin first thing this morning.
You do? Well, now that is a coincidence, since Mr. Conklin happens to be the second problem you can help me with.
I'm sorry. 1 truck is all our driveway can handle. That is, you'll have to handle Mr. Conklin yourself, Walter.
No, it won't be difficult, Miss Brooks. It's just that I have to drive this van past his office window to put it in the school parking lot. And if he happens to see it, he's liable to erupt like Old Faithful.
Well, our boy is at least twice as juicy. But I fail to see how
All you have to do is keep him from looking out of the window for a few minutes, Miss Brooks.
I guess I could do that.
Well, of course you could. Just keep him looking at you.
That's an idea, Walter. If he can spoil my morning, I can spoil his.
But Osgood, I promised the ladies you'd speak when we inaugurated our new clubhouse tonight. Can't you possibly make it?
Martha, there's nothing I'd rather do. Nothing in the world. But can I help it if I have to be out of town tonight on business for Mr. Stone?
Oh, I suppose not. But this business for Mr. Stone certainly came up awfully suddenly.
Well, you told me about the meeting awfully suddenly. That is, I would have let you know sooner, but I didn't think it was necessary until you told me about the meeting.
Well, it certainly seems strange to me. You had to go out of town for Mr. Stone the last time my Ladies' Aid group asked you to speak, too.
The man has a simply uncanny knack of picking just the wrong night.
Osgood, it isn't the $50 you were asked to contribute after we inaugurated our last clubhouse, is it?
Magnolia blossom. How could you even think such a thing?
Yet for a moment I thought it was the $50.
Oopsie girl. How could you doubt your Osgood? Oh, just a moment, Martha. There's someone at the door. Come in.
Good morning, sir. I have the report.
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. Excuse me, my wife's hanging on the phone.
Well, quick, cut her down. You're speaking to her. Well, go right ahead, sir. I'll wait.
Hello, Angel Eyes. Just put all those horrid doubts out of your mind. When your Osgood says he has to go out of town on business for Mr. Stone, your Osgood means exactly that. I'll see you before I go. Goodbye, Pet. Miss Brooks, can you imagine my wife not wanting to believe I have to be away from home overnight?
Seems incredible to me. Then you really have to go away on business, your Osgood? Mr. Conklin?
Of course I have to. Do you think because my wife's Ladies' Aid group wants me to speak and perhaps contribute $50 tonight, that I'd resort to the twin shames of deceit and subterfuge?
Which hotel are you staying at in town, sir?
Oh, I wouldn't dare stay at a hotel. It's much too risky. It's Well, if you must know, I simply can't afford the $50, Miss Brooks. And now that my secret is out, perhaps you can help me find a place to sleep tonight.
Oh, I'd like to, sir, but our driveway is already spoken for. Most of the people we know are members of your wife's group.
I know, and if she ever finds out about it... What was that?
What was what?
Those sounds outside my window. That was either a truck backfiring or those were shots.
I knew someone would catch up with Miss Enright sooner or later.
This is Carl.
And Mike.
Once again, we are continuing our on-the-spot reporting from the Boulevard Car Wash at Maple and Niagara Falls Boulevard.
Yes, now that winter is here, it's even more important that you keep your car clean.
Yes, Mike, with all the dirt and salt that a car can collect on today's streets, a car can really start to rust away. But a once-a-week wash at Boulevard Car Wash at any of the 3 locations, this one at Niagara Falls Boulevard and Maple, the one at Orchard Park Road and Southwestern Boulevard, and South Park Plaza, Hamburg, all will give you the finest wash available.
Well, we might as well get to it, Carl. We're off into the wash.
Mike, roll up your window.
It's stuck, Carl. It won't go up.
Well, Mike, do something. The water's coming in.
It won't move.
Isn't it awfully bright in here, sir? I don't know when I've seen such a glare from the sun. I'd better pull down your shade.
Glare from the sun? What are you talking about? How could there be any sun in here this time of morning? My windows face west.
Well, the days are getting awfully short this time of year. Anyway, there's no use waiting till the last second. Now, I'll just pull...
That is a truck backfiring. Well, I'll soon see what it's doing outside my window.
Oh, but Mr. Conklin, I'm certain...
Holy cow, it's a moving van. And Walter Denton's driving it to our parking lot. What is that idiot Denton doing with a moving van?
Maybe his books are heavier than the other kids.
Miss Brooks, you didn't want me to see that van pass my window, did you? Now, suppose you tell me what this is all about.
Well, since you've already seen it, sir, I suppose there's no harm in telling you that Walter and Bone Snodgrass have gone into the moving business together.
They've gone into the moving business?
Yes, sir. They've already got their first order from a Mrs. Conway. Her entire one-room suite is on that van. They're delivering it tomorrow, and they just need a place to put their van till they collect the money for it. Tonight, I'm letting them leave it in our driveway, and
so you're a collaborator on this scheme. A scheme which is against all the rules of the school. Using school property to conduct a full-time business is the severest offense I can conceive of. An offense demanding instant expulsion from... They've got a one-room suite on that van.
Shall I tell them they can re-enroll now, sir?
Miss Brooks, is that a complete one-room suite?
Yes, sir. Complete with chairs, bed, and built-in principal. It's got
I think it might be just what I'm looking for, Miss Brooks. Yes, just what I need. A perfect place to spend the night. Now, no one must know about this, Miss Brooks.
Oh, no, sir.
Neither students nor faculty. This is a secret which you must carry with you to your grave. Understand?
Yes, sir. If I don't, that may happen a lot sooner than I expect.
Miss Brooks, wait a minute.
Oh, hello, Mr. Boynton. How's everything?
Well, Miss Brooks, I'm faced with a problem. Now, I don't want you to think I'm crying on your shoulder.
Just put your head there and let me worry. I won't, Mr. Boynton. What's your problem?
Well, it's the same old thing. That is, it's something old and yet something new.
Make that something borrowed and something blue, and I might get interested. I still don't understand.
Well, I'm slightly in arrears in my room rent to Mrs. Miller.
But we're all slightly in arrears in our rent, Mr. Boynton. How much are you behind?
Counting this week?
Yes.
3 months.
I'll give you Mrs. Davis in 6 weeks. Say, you are in trouble, aren't you?
Up to my neck. Mrs. Miller is so angry she threatened to hand me my eviction notice if I didn't have some of the rent by tonight. She's stopping by before her ladies' aid meeting at 8 and again when it's over.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, the only thing I can do is find some other place to stay overnight. Oh, I know by tomorrow she'll calm down and reconsider. However, I did think of one possibility. A place you could help me with where no one would think of finding me.
Where, I'm reasonably certain.
Well, now, don't laugh when I say this, but Walter's moving van would be perfect for my purposes.
That's not a moving van. That's a hotel. Mr. Boynton, I'd like to help.
Walter told me it'll be in your driveway overnight, and if you'll let me stay there, I'll be in your debt as long as I live.
Well, all right, Mr. Boynton, but there's something I'd better warn you about in case you wake up in the middle of the night.
What's that?
If you happen to find 2 feet in your face, don't be alarmed. They're not yours.
Pinocchio, the big nose and all that, you know. But seriously, lots of kids don't know about me. How can kids read if they don't have any books? And millions of kids, black, white, red, yellow, brown, all races, live in homes without any books. Getting books into the hands of these girls and boys is what the national program, RIF, Reading is Fundamental, is all about. Here's what RIF has found out. When kids choose the books they want because the subjects interest them and they own the book, that makes reading fun. And when reading is fun, it's just fundamental. Books widen a kid's world, and their abilities, and their whole life. Every community needs RIF. Find out what you and RIF can do in your community. Just like RIF, Smithsonian Institution, Washington, D.C., 20560. That's RIF, R-I-F, Smithsonian Institution, Washington, D.C., 20560. Right now. If America's to grow up thinking, reading is fundamental.
Now, do you have your pencil and paper handy? A free gift is yours, a handy guide to available old-time radio shows. And to get yours, merely send your name and address on the back of a box top, any box top, or a reasonable facsimile thereof to this station, WBUF Box 96, Buffalo, New York, 14209. It's free. There's no obligation, and remember, your name and address on the back of any box top. Mail it to this station for your free gift. Compliments of Radio Rides Again and our sponsor.
Well, when I agreed to let Walter leave his moving van in Mrs. Davis's driveway overnight, I had no idea I'd have to put a quiet, do not disturb sign on its rear doors. But with Mr. Conklin and Mr. Boynton persuading me to let them use it as sleeping quarters for the night, I felt like a desk clerk without portfolio. I was quietly cursing the brains of the firm of Denton and Snodgrass on my way to the school cafeteria at noon when I happened to run into the Brawn.
Hi, Miss Brooks.
Hello, Bones. How's everything with Denton, Snodgrass and Company?
I think you made a mistake, Miss Brooks.
A mistake?
Yes, there's my brother, Stretch Snodgrass, and me. Bone Snodgrass, but there ain't no one named Denton Snodgrass.
I'm talking about Walter Denton.
Oh, well, I'm going to meet Walter after lunch. And, boy, have I got some good news for him.
You have?
Yeah. Well, that Walter thinks he's so smart just because he got an order from Mrs. Conway. Wait till he hears about the order I got. Mrs. Davis gave me an order to move all her furniture from her old clubhouse to a new one tonight.
Mrs. Davis can't do this. Not with Mr. Boynton and Mr. Conklin asleep. Excuse me, Bones, I've got to make a phone call in an awful hurry. Of all the people to pick to give the moving job to, I can't...
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Davis. This is Connie.
Oh, Connie, could you call me back a little later? I'm expecting phone calls from Maud Richards, Peggy Lowell, and Sally Norton about the clubhouse inaugural tonight. If I talk to you, I'm liable to get all confused.
You won't get confused. I want to talk about clubhouse business, too.
Well, all right, if you say so. What is it, Maud?
Mrs. Davis, please. Look, I'm calling about the moving job you gave Walter and Bones Snodgrass. You've got to cancel it.
But why here? Walter and Bones are such nice boys. They deserve to get a start in business.
Of course they do, and I wouldn't ask this of you unless there was an excellent reason. I'll tell you what it is if you'll keep it a secret. Promise me you'll forget it as soon as I tell it to you.
Oh, you can trust me, Sally.
I can't think of anyone I could trust more. All right, Mrs. Davis, the reason I'm asking this favor is that Mr. Conklin and Mr. Boynton are going to be in the moving van tonight.
Really, dear? Who gave the order to move them?
They're sleeping in it, Mrs. Davis. Neither of them wants it known where they are for one night.
How exciting. They're hiding out. Well, trust me to dummy up, kid. I wouldn't squeal when two of the mob were keeping under cover from the bulls.
Oh, fine. Our television set has been fixed again. Then you will call Bones, Mrs. Davis.
Of course I will.
Can I depend on it? Just as soon as I hang up?
I'll do it as soon as you hang up, Peggy.
All right, then. Bye, Hortense.
Gosh, Walter, I don't understand what happened. This dame give me the order, and an hour later she calls back and cancels it.
Well, don't let it bother you. I got another order myself a little while ago. The biggest order we've had so far.
Hey, that's great. Who'd you get it from?
From Mrs. Conklin. I phoned her a half hour ago, and we're moving all the furniture from our old clubhouse to her new one tonight. How's that for using the old bean?
Boy, I gotta hand it to you, Walter. I wish I had thought of that idea.
Gosh, Miss Brooks, I don't understand the rush to get over here. It's only 8 o'clock.
I wanted you to get comfortable before Mr. Conklin arrives.
But you said he wouldn't be here till 9 o'clock. That gives us an extra hour in this moving van.
I know. Full hour. Alone. In a crowded moving van. Just the two of us. You and me. Let's sit down, shall we, Mr. Boynton?
Say, I just noticed. There seems to be a lot more furniture in here than earlier in the day. Extra chairs, tables, that big couch.
Probably the rest of Mrs. Conway's suite. Sit down, Mr. Boynton.
Maybe so, but those pictures of Washington and Jefferson weren't here earlier either. No, this huge American flag.
No, they weren't. Sit down, Mr. Boynton.
What would Mrs. Conway be doing with a huge flag in her room?
Maybe she likes to salute before she goes to bed. Sit down, Mr. Boynton.
This couch is nice and comfortable. You know, Miss Brooks, this situation would really be rather humorous if it didn't have such serious overtones. Did you ever imagine we'd sit huddled together in a crowded moving van, just the two of us, with just a dim light bulb between us and complete darkness?
You haven't got a BB gun on you, have you?
Well, I suppose we might as well do something while we're waiting for Mr. Conklin to arrive.
Yes, we might as well, mightn't we? We might as well do that. We certainly might.
Now, what would be something for two people to do in the semi-darkness of a gloomy movie?
Two guesses, and I'm already puckered up.
Oh, I've got it, of course. Let's play Ghosts.
Why play it? I already am one. Mr. Boynton, if playing Ghosts is the only thing you can do...
Good evening, Miss Brooks.
Haunted. Oh, I wasn't expecting you so early, Mr. Conklin.
Apparently not. Mr. Boynton, what are you doing here? Miss Brooks, does Boynton know about me?
Yes, sir, but you don't know about him. Mr. Conklin, this is your new bunkie.
My new bunkie? Yes, sir. You see, since we're both in the same boat, trying to avoid a member of the Ladies' Aid Club for one night, Miss Brooks and I figured you wouldn't mind if I slept here with you. I'm no trouble at all during the 8 hours I'm asleep.
And to prove it, just watch him the 16 hours he's awake.
Well, I don't care what kind of a roommate you are, Boynton.
Well, folks, the doors was open, so I just...
Snodgrass? Snodgrass? What are you doing here?
I think you made a mistake, Mr. Conklin. There's my brother, Stretch Snodgrass, and me, Bone Snodgrass, but...
We know there's no Snodgrass. But what are you doing here, Bones?
Well, I might as well ask you all the same question. It's my moving van.
Yes, but it's our question.
Well, Wall and me have got this furniture to deliver right away. So far, this deal has been nothing but a lot of anger-ovation.
Anger-ovation?
Yeah, you know. Exasperation.
Oh, you mean irritation.
That's it. Now, if you'll step inside, Miss Brooks, I'll pull up the ramp.
What?
Snodgrass, where are you taking us?
All right, Waller. Let it go!
Let it... Miss Brooks, we're moving.
Yes, sir. That's what frequently happens with a moving van.
I'm a corporate lawyer, and I'm one.
I'm a pediatric nurse, and I'm one.
I'm a student, and I'm one.
I'm a housewife, and I'm one.
I'm a bus driver, and I'm one.
I'm a fashion director, and I'm one.
Everyone can be a pollution fighter, but everyone isn't. It's too bad, too, because we need as many as we can get. We need them to pick up litter. We need them to stop cars from polluting and leaves from burning. We need pollution fighters to take action in their communities against the problems that are choking our environment. We have to have them if we're to clean up our air, our lakes and rivers, our highways and our forests. It doesn't take much to become a pollution fighter. Just a desire to make our land as beautiful as it used to be. Write to Keep America Beautiful for a free booklet. 71 things you can do to stop pollution. That's Keep America Beautiful, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York, New York. People start pollution. People can stop it.
I insist that you tell us immediately where we're going.
It'll only take a couple of minutes to deliver this furniture to your wife's Ladies' Aid Club, Mr. Conklin, and we'll have the van right back in the driveway.
Oh, well, if it'll only take a couple of minutes to deliver it, I certainly won't be unreasonable about it, particularly since we'll be using the van for the... Deliver this furniture to my wife's Ladies' Aid Club!
Deliver the furniture to Mrs. Conklin's Ladies' Aid Club?
I vote aye and make it unanimous.
Snodgrass, have Denton stop this van immediately. Immediately. Denton, stop this truck at once. Halt, I say.
Looks like he's forgotten the password. He can't possibly hear you, sir. All this furniture has made the interior soundproof.
Yes, but Miss Brooks, in another minute we'll be at the new clubhouse. What am I going to do? I've only got one more minute. Now, please, Miss Brooks, help me.
All right. You start thinking of a speech while I look through your pockets for the $50. The only other thing I can think of is for you to hide, sir.
Good, very good, yes. Now, where will I hide?
How about the big couch, sir? You could stretch out under the soft cushions.
Yes, good idea. Under the cushions. But are you certain no one will see me under them?
Even if they did, it would look like nothing but more cushions.
Miss Brooks, can I use the couch, too?
Nothing doing. You had your chance before. get behind the couch. Now hurry up, the van's stopping. Bones, lower the ramp and then go up front and tell Walter to stay up there until I can get rid of Mrs. Conklin.
Okay, Miss Brooks. See you later.
Why, Miss Brooks, what a pleasant surprise.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Conklin.
Are you here to help us launch our new clubhouse?
Just hand me a champagne bottle and stand back. That is, I felt since Walter and Bones were driving over anyway, I'd come along and listen.
Oh, it's a madhouse in there, my dear. 100 women milling around and practically no furniture. Why don't we just sit on the couch in the van and talk?
Oh, sit on the van and the couch? I mean, sit on the man and the couch. Talk on the couch to the van? We can't sit on the couch, Mrs. Conklin.
Oh, why not? Nothing happened to it on the way over, did it?
That's it. Something happened. Something dreadful happened to the couch.
Really? To its legs?
That's it. It acquired 2 more. It lost 2.
Well, it looks perfectly all right to me. I'm sure whatever happened won't prevent us from sitting on it.
Oh, no, really, Mrs. Conklin, don't sit there. You'd better not. What was what?
When I sat down just now, I heard an oof.
That was I. When you sat down, I said you'd better get oof.
Look, there's not a thing wrong with this couch. Why, it's dirty as can be. Look, to prove it, I'll stand up and flop right down on it again.
Oh!
Now, just watch. You see, nothing happens when I fall down. Don't tell me you didn't hear that, Miss Brooks.
Maybe the couch creaked. Many couches do that, you know.
I heard a groan.
Very few couches do that. We'd really better go in.
There's someone under those cushions.
Oh, no, there couldn't possibly be.
Miss Brooks, there's a body under there.
Don't be alarmed. I doubt if it's still alive.
Well, I'll just take off this cushion and...
Hello, Poopsie girl.
Osgood Conklin, of all the low-down, underhanded, malicious...
Now, twinkle toes. Give your Osgood a chance to explain.
Oh, don't even try, sir. Mrs. Conklin, there is only one explanation that covers all situations like this one.
One explanation? What's that, Miss Brooks?
Your husband was standing on a corner minding his own business, waiting for a moving van. Oh, after Mr. Boynton was discovered, too, I really got busy and thought up a whale of a story. I practically convinced Mrs. Conklin that both her husband and Mr. Boynton had done this merely to surprise her and help with the clubhouse inaugural.
Well, I still can't quite believe it, Miss Brooks. But I know Mrs. Miller will be as delighted to see Mr. Boynton as I am to see Osgood.
Did my landlady mention me this evening, Mrs. Conklin?
Well, yes, she did, Mr. Boynton, but I forget what it was about. This has been such a hectic night. Oh, dear. Frankly, I don't see why we moved at all when we'll only use this new clubhouse for a few hours, twice a week.
You mean you only meet here twice a week?
That's right. The rest of the week, it's dark.
It is? Well, don't be surprised if you happen to be passing some night and it's not completely dark, Mrs. Conklin.
Why, what do you mean, Miss Brooks?
Mr. Boynton tells me he likes to read before he goes to sleep at night.
Tune in next week, same time, same station, for Radio Rides Again. Brought to you by the Boulevard Car Wash with 3 big locations: Niagara Falls Boulevard and Maple, Orchard Park Road and Southwestern Boulevard, and South Park Plaza, Hamburg. No matter what the size of your car, Boulevard Car Wash will do an expert job. Boulevard Car Wash reminds you to remember to send in your box tops. This is the Empire State FM Network.
Now it's Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. female teachers at Madison High School think of Mr. Boynton, the bashful biologist, as an extremely handsome, virile, irresistible individual. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English there, can take him with a grain of salt.
In fact, I could take him with a whole spoonful. But why waste salt on a fellow who's too shy to toss in a little pepper now and then? Last Friday at breakfast, I foolishly provoked a discussion of the matter with my landlady. Honestly, Mrs. Davis, he's more attentive to his animals. Why, yesterday he hardly noticed me because he took his dog to school for the day. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. What can a dog learn in one measly day?
Serves me right for mentioning it. May I have some toast, please?
Oh, here you are, dear. It's like I've always said. If dogs could learn things as quickly as cats, this would be a much better world to live in.
For whom?
No, I'm serious. Take our cat Minerva. For the past week, I've been teaching her mathematics, and she's become a whiz at it.
Mathematics?
Just you wait and see. Minerva! Meow! Tell me quickly now, how much is 2 and 2? Meow! Ah, that's a good girl. Well, I'll gather up the dishes now.
Just a minute. 2 and 2 equals meow?
Certainly. There are 4 letters in meow, aren't there? That's her way of telling me that the answer is 4. 2 meows equal 8. 3 meows equal 12, and so on. Oh, it's funny, though. She isn't so hot on the odd numbers.
Look, Mrs. Davis, I started this conversational maze with the simple statement that Mr. Boynton brought his dog to school yesterday.
Well, Connie, then it's simple.
What's simple?
You should do something to show Mr. Boynton how much you love animals.
Like what?
Well, why don't you take Minerva to school with you today?
Oh, let's not be ridiculous, Mrs. Davis. I couldn't possibly take Minerva to... Well, come to think of it, Mr. Boynton is extremely fond of cats. It might make a hit at that. Do you think she'd behave herself in my classroom?
Of course she would. She can stretch out on the seat cushion I ordered for your classroom.
Seat cushion?
You mentioned how trying it is sitting on that hard chair all day. So I thought I'd surprise you.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Mrs. Davis.
Don't mention it. I mailed a letter last night telling the store where to send it, along with another note to the place where I ordered Victor's gift.
Your brother Victor?
Yes. He's every bit as fond of animals as Mr. Boynton is. That's why I bought one for him yesterday.
Oh, that's nice, Mrs. Davis. What did you get him?
A cow.
A cow?
Yes. It's a female.
Those are the best kind. Why on earth would you
just moved into a little farmhouse on the edge of town, Connie. It's only a 15-minute drive from here. By and by, he'll be adding more livestock, of course. But right now, with just the one cow, I figured he'd have his hands full.
He will if he plays his cards right. Well, I'd better dash off to school, Mrs. Davis. I'll have to use all my powers of persuasion to get Mr. Conklin's permission to take Minerva into class with me.
All right, dear. Just put Minerva into this valise I bought for her at the pet shop. It's a cat carrier. You might leave the lid open for her, though.
Oh, that won't be necessary. There are holes in the side through which she can breathe. In you go, Minerva. Here, I'll give you a hand. Oh, that's what I like about Minerva. She's so polite. Whenever you help her out, she always says 4.
You may be principal of this school, Osgood Conklin, but as long as I am head of the Board of Education, you will take orders from me. Is that clear?
Quite clear, Mr. Stone. Crystal clear. Couldn't be clearer. You are also...
Silence!
My lips are sealed.
Why, when I saw that dog running loose outside the biology lab yesterday, I was shocked beyond words. You know that animals aren't allowed on school property, Osgood. How did it get in here? Answer me.
Well, I haven't the slightest idea, sir.
Let's make certain that no dogs invade this school today. First, you will make an early inspection tour of all classrooms.
And I want you to post a guard at the front door throughout the day.
But, sir, why commission someone to do a job for which I myself am ideally suited? I'll keep a weather eye open, sir. You may be sure no animal will get past me. Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin. Oh, hello, Mr. Stone.
Good morning, Miss Brooks. Are you, going somewhere?
Oh, this valise. If I may ask your permission, Mr. Conklin.
Permission for what?
Well, you'll see as soon as I open the bag. It'll just take me a minute. Excuse me, Mr. Stone.
Go right ahead. Glad you dropped in, Miss Brooks. Perhaps you can shed some light on the identity of the culprit who dared to bring an animal into this school yesterday.
An animal, Mr. Stone?
Specifically, a dog. When I saw it romping around outside the biology lab, I came in here to report the incident to Mr. Conklin. When I returned to the spot, it had vanished.
Good. Some of those spots stay on forever. I'm afraid I can't be of much help to you, Mr. Stone. You see, mine is an English class, and I'm not one of those who are, I should say, in the habit of hanging around other lads. The labs of others, I mean. So I couldn't really shed any light on the identity of which the dog belonged to who. Who?
And exactly how long have you had this English class, Miss Brooks?
You bet. Well, please forgive my faulty syntax, Mr. Stone. The thought of a beast on the premises has frazzled my nerves a bit. Well, goodbye now.
One moment. You were going to open that bag, remember?
Bag? What bag? Oh, the bag. Oh, well, you really wouldn't want to look at what's in this bag, sir. It's nothing but...
What was that?
I said I'll run along now and meow. Meow, that's a new expression some of the kids use. It's real cool, I think. Meow. Instead of saying goodbye, they say meow. Silly, isn't it? Ooh, sometimes I stretch it out with a little western drawl. Well, meow now, Mr. Stone. Meow, Mr. Conklin. Meow. Meow.
Now, that was mighty peculiar behavior. She galloped out of here like a frightened antelope.
Yes, and it's my guess that right now she and her western drawl are loping over to the old bunkhouse in Mr. Boynton's lab.
Oh, hello there, Miss Brooks.
Howdy. Please sit down, Mr. Boynton. We've got a little palavering to do.
Well, can it wait, Miss Brooks? I was just on my way to the cloakroom to feed Geraldine.
Geraldine?
You know, my dog. She's a boxer.
And if Mr. Conklin drops in, she'd better come out fighting. That's what I came to warn you about.
Warn me?
Yes, he's on an anti-animal kick. Mr. Stone happened to see Geraldine in the hall yesterday, and he was furious. Luckily, he doesn't know who her owner is yet.
Gosh, I guess I should have asked Mr. Conklin's permission. Oh, but there's little chance of my dog being discovered in here, Miss Brooks. Mr. Stone rarely comes into my lab. The same goes for Mr. Conklin.
Oh, well, then maybe my cat can hide out here for the day.
Your cat?
Yeah, I'll let her out of the bag. I certainly wouldn't want Mr. Conklin to find out I'm a cat rustler. Out you come, Minerva. You won't mind taking care of her for me, will you, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, not at all. Come here, baby.
All righty. Oh, you mean her.
I'm crazy about cats, Miss Brooks. Why, the minute I see one, I can't resist nestling it in my arms and stroking its little head.
Meow. And Mrs. Davis ordered a seat cushion sent to my class today, Miss Boynton. I'll bring it over so that Minerva can stretch out in comfort.
Oh, that'll be dandy. I saw Mrs. Davis at the movies last night, and she told me about her brother Victor's farmhouse and that she's buying him a cow. I just love cows, don't you?
Madly. Oh, I love all animals, Mr. Boynton.
You know, sometimes I get to thinking about my childhood days on Dad's farm, Miss Brooks. Oh, I miss those days a lot. I hope Victor asks me out to his farm someday.
We can both go out someday. Some night, I mean. Some night when Victor isn't home. We can stroll in the meadow, hand in hand, with the moonlight pouring down.
That sounds pretty thrilling, Miss Brooks. And if you're with me and it's a very nice evening, you think it'd be all right to, well...
Yes, Mr. Boynton?
Well, do you think Victor would let me milk his cow?
We can both milk her. You take the left side, and I'll take the right side, and I'll be homogenized before you. Oh, great. Speaking of milk, has evidently whipped up Minerva's appetite. Steady, Minerva.
Mr. Conklin.
Yipe.
At ease. I hope you'll forgive this intrusion, Boynton. I just dropped into... Oh, hello, little pussycat. I say I just dropped in to make certain there are no dogs in here. Not that I suspect you, Boynton, but I just thought I'd take a look around. Well, I don't see any dogs on the premises. No dogs at all. Sorry to trouble you. I'll just run along now. And hello, little pussycat!
I have it. Let's all play charades. I mean, there's still a few minutes before first class, so just for kicks.
That will do. Out with it now. To whom does this cat belong?
Cat? What cat? Oh, the pussycat. It's quite a pussycat, isn't it? Silky. It's a girl cat, no doubt. Mr. Boynton and I hadn't noticed her.
Oh, that's right. She must have strayed in, sir.
Nonsense. Miss Brooks, I'm beginning to understand those phantom meows I heard in my office. Now then.
What are you doing to the cat's collar, Mr. Conklin?
I'm removing it, Miss Brooks. It'll be an easy matter to determine the person who owns her by simply checking the number on this license tag. That person, needless to say, is a dead duck.
Having heard nothing from Mr. Conklin during my morning classes, I presumed that he had not as yet traced the number on Minerva's license tag. As I left my classroom for lunch, however, the figure of a sentry armed with a BB rifle loomed up before me.
Halt! Step forward and be recognized.
It's me, Mr. Conklin.
Oh. Step back and be unrecognized, Miss.
Aye, aye, sir. And so, having been honorably discharged, I hiked down to the school cafeteria and ordered chow. It was then that Walter Denton beckoned me to his table.
Over here, Miss Brooks. Wilt thou not visit me? The plant beside me feels thy gentle dew, and every blade of grass I see from thy deep earth its quickening moisture drew.
I ordered meatballs. What have you got?
The same. I guess you didn't care for that bit of poetry I quoted, huh, Miss Brooks?
You guessed right, Walter.
Well, how do you like this one? You'd never have let the cat from the bag if you knew Mr. Conklin would grab her tag.
You're either psychic or a sneak. How'd you find out I'm up the creek?
Oh, that's a very provocative question, Miss Brooks. You will recall that shortly before first class this morning, our beloved principal invaded Mr. Boynton's lab and trapped you dead to rights with your furry friend.
With two furry friends. Mr. Boynton lost his razor.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I happened to be standing in the hall just outside the lab, and presently I heard excitement-laden voices wafted through the transom. Now, that was a moment of great decision for me, Miss Brooks. I could have either hewed to the path of dishonor by remaining in the hall and eavesdropping, or I could have taken the glorious avenue of decency by closing my ears and leaving the scene.
Well?
Yeah, I took the dirty road out.
For shame. But you still don't know all the details, Walter.
Au contraire, Miss Brooks. I was about to say that some minutes later, I confronted Mr. Boynton with the juicy morsels I had overheard, informed him that I should like to be acquainted with all the facts, and requested that he sing.
And he sang?
Ezio Pinza would have envied him.
Well, this is no laughing matter, Walter. When Mr. Conklin traces Minerva's license tag...
Well, he didn't have time to trace it this morning, Miss Brooks, and it's too late now. Here is a little gift as a token of my esteem.
Walter, it's the tag. How did you get it?
Like I said, Miss Brooks, I'm pretty perfidious at times. When Mr. Conklin left his office for a few moments, I sneaked in, made off with the tag, and ever since then he's been flipping his lid wondering what happened to it.
But that's stealing. That's a dreadful thing to do, Walter, and thanks a million.
Well, you're entirely welcome. Only one thing worries me, Miss Brooks. Since Mr. Conklin can't establish ownership, he'll probably confiscate your cat and send her to the pound.
Oh, no. We can't let that happen to Minerva. Somehow we've got to spring her. I have an idea, Walter. You've got to sneak her out of the biology lab through the window and then take her to Mrs. Davis's brother's farmhouse. It's only a 15-minute drive from here, so you can report back to me in my classroom before the end of lunch period.
Check. I know a shortcut to the farmhouse, Miss Brooks. I helped Victor move some furniture in day before yesterday.
Well, after Walter promised to sneak Minerva out of school to Victor's farm, the only problem remaining was what to do about Mr. Boynton's dog. In my classroom shortly after noon, I told Mr. Boynton what Walter had done.
Well, I doubt that he'll get back here before the end of lunch period, Miss Brooks. It's almost 1 o'clock now.
Excuse me, Mr. Boynton. I want to steal a little peek into the hallway. No sentry. Mr. Conklin apparently ducked out for a bite. Now's your chance to get rid of your dog.
Oh, I've already taken care of that. I simply lowered Geraldine out the window and told her to go home. She'll be lying on the doorstep waiting for me after school, Miss Brooks. You see, she's been trained. No matter where she is, she knows how to get to my apartment house.
So do I, but what good does it do?
Hiya, folks. I got your cat to the farm okay, Miss Brooks.
Nice work, Walter. Did you turn her over to Mrs. Davis?
Not exactly. She was out shopping when I got there, but I left Minerva with her brother Victor as soon as he got through with the delivery man.
Delivery man?
Yeah. Some guy was delivering a seat cushion.
What? But that cushion was supposed to be delivered to my classroom. Good old absent-minded Mrs. Davis.
Miss Brooks?
Yes?
A sign here.
For what?
For this.
Oh, no. Wait a minute, mister. This is a cow.
You got good eyes, lady. We'll give you the bucket free.
Gosh, a real cow. I haven't milked a cow in 14 years. Hand me that bucket, Walter.
Oh, no, you don't. This is no time to improve your handshake. Listen, mister, my landlady evidently got confused. There's been a dreadful mistake, but you'll simply have to take back this cow.
Oh, I'm sorry, lady. That'll take a separate order, and our company's jammed up for the day. Give them a call, though. Maybe we can take her tomorrow.
Well, you've got to be reasonable. You can't leave a cow here overnight. This is a public school under the supervision of the federal government.
Let's keep politics out of this. I'll be going now. So long, lady.
I just caught a glimpse of Mr. Conklin and his daughter Harriet coming up the school steps.
What'll we do? Mr. Boynton, cut that out.
Sorry, I lost my head.
Now look in the bucket.
I'll see you later, Daddy.
Fine, Harriet. I'll be right here on sentry duty. No silly cat or dog is going to get past me today.
Boy, you're sure going to get a surprise from some silly cow.
Not if I can help it. Quick, close the door. Now listen carefully, Walter. I want you to stay here with the cow and see that absolutely no one enters this classroom. Then after school's over, when the sentry leaves, we can escape with the cow.
Okay, Miss Brooks. You can depend on me.
What can I do to help, Miss Brooks?
Just hand me that valise. The other one.
Steady, girl, steady. You're in good hands. 10 after 3, Walter. As soon as Miss Brooks gets back, we can...
Who goes there?
A friend. I'm unarmed.
Wait till I pull the chair away from the door.
Hi, Miss Brooks. See anybody in the hall?
Just Harriet Conklin. She was on her way to a dramatics club meeting. I saw Mr. Conklin getting into his car, so now's our chance to make the break. You men bring up the rear. We girls will lead the way. Come along, Bossy. Now, keep your eyes peeled, Walter. You too, Mr. Boynton. If you see anybody...
Holy smoke! Quick, push her in here. I'll open the door.
But, Walter!
Walter. No time to explain. In you go, bossy. Come on. In.
All right, Walter. Now would you mind explaining what we and the strange cow are doing in Mr. Conklin's office?
Well, I just saw Harriet Conklin coming down the stairs. Oh, but we're safe in here. She never comes into Mr. Conklin's office when he isn't around.
Oh, quick thinking, Walter.
Hi, Daddy. I thought you'd gone home.
I forgot something in my office, Harriet.
Oops, he's around. Calm down.
What on earth is going on in there? Well, I'll soon find out.
Back the cow into the closet. Hurry.
Come on, Bossy. Back.
Come on, in you go all the way. That's it.
Oh, now she'll only stay quiet until Mr. Conklin...
Moon over Miami.
Oh, hello, Mr. Conklin.
Miss Brooks, Boynton, Denton, what are you doing here?
Well, sir, we were just... Moon of Monocura.
I demand to know what you are doing in my office.
Well, sir, we were just...
Is the song fest over now?
No, not quite, Mr. Conklin. Somehow I feel more coming on. I'm in the mood for love simply because you're...
Oh, shut up! You all sound like a herd of sick cattle. For the last time, what are you doing here?
Well, sir, we just dropped in to say goodbye on our way home.
I left here 5 minutes ago, but I forgot my hat. I'll get it out of the closet, and we can all go together.
What an awful way to go. Oh, surely you don't need a hat on such a lovely day, sir. Why not skip the closet?
Step aside, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Pardon me, please. Take it easy. Take it easy. I just want to get my hat. Take a second. Seems to be on the floor. I can just reach it. I've got it now. Oh, I am sorry. Now I've got it. Now I can... Pardon me again, please. Will one of you kindly tell me that I didn't see what I just saw in that closet?
You've had a rough day on sentry duty, sir. Overwork very often causes one's mind to play tricks that are...
Oh, yes, of course. It's absurd. I'm convinced the whole thing was a mirage, notwithstanding the indisputable fact that my hat here, as you can plainly see, is half filled with cream. Just to reassure myself, however, I'd like to take another look in the closet. This time you will follow me, Miss Brooks.
Oh, it's rather late, Mr. Conklin. Let's do it in the morning.
You'll follow me now, Miss Brooks. And I do mean now.
Yes, sir.
Holy cow!
And you do mean cow.
Miss Brooks, starring E. Martin, Frank Clark, was produced and directed by Larry Burns, written by Joe Quillen and Al Lewis, with the music of Bud Gluskin. Mr. Conklin was...